Yo, welcome to the show where the energy's flown. It's your boy dropping heat. This is the Ozone. Step into the arena where legends are made. From the courts to the fields, watch the highlights played. Football, hoops, baseball, it's all fair game. If it's sports, we bring the fire, put respect on the name. Stats and debates, we break it all down. From the rookies to the goats who wear the crown. No halftime, all grind, we're setting the tone. It's prime time, baby, you're in the Ozone. Yo, it's passion, precision, the plays we dissect. From the underdogs, grinding to the Hall of Fame vets. This is more than a podcast, it's a sports throne. Let's kick it off right, welcome to the Ozone.
You have entered the Ozone with Omar and Dave.
Let's go, baby. We are here, and you have officially entered the Ozone. It's your boy Omar, and I'm going to be honest, I ain't doing too great. Because there's a team that haven't won since we last recorded. But you know what? We ain't even going to start off with them. And then we got another team that's the prettiest ugly girl. We'll let you know who that is. But we got a team, the only team that I think that we can look forward to in this city, that's getting some help and now got a new leader. We got a jam-packed quick hits. And we got a first-time highlight of the week coming up that we've never done ever. First time here on the Ozone. We got to get into all that. Jam-packed show. But I can't get into it without my co-host, the best in the business. Have I ever said that before? I think I have. Super producer Dave. Brother, it's a new week. I can almost assume what I'm going to ask your answer when I ask you this question. How you feeling?
You know what? I'm not going to let a certain team from the Bronx get me pissed off. You know? I've been in a good mood. It's been a good week. But, bro, I just have to say this. After we recorded that episode last week with all the NBA news, the next day the NBA decided, I thought we were finished.
Yeah.
And they just dropped more bombs after bombs after bombs. And I told Omar, yes, I think I texted him Thursday, or Friday, and I was just like, I'm just so happy that the NBA slowed down because we were not being able to catch up. Shams, Your fingers are burning, I bet.
Yeah, we're going to get into it because our boys, the New York Knicks, made some pivotal moves. Let's get into it on This Week in Knicks.
This Week in Knicks.
All right, y'all, This Week in Knicks, offseason edition. Brother, we got a brand new head coach as the New York Knicks have officially hired Mike Brown. Yes, the Knicks are hiring Mike Brown. They have signed him for a 4-year, $40 million deal. Obviously, it's been, roughly 4 weeks that the Knicks have done their due diligence. The Knicks have been made fun of for, I guess, attempting to do their due diligence and going after coaches, getting denied by franchises, being accused of not having a direction. However, that has been eliminated as the Knicks hired Mike Brown. So, obviously, we know Taylor Jenkins, James Bayergo were all names that were realistic, that had realistic shots, but they settled for Mike Brown. Brother, before I ask you on your opinion, let's just highlight a few things about Mike Brown. I know I wasn't the biggest Mike Brown guy, but his stats can, obviously, you can't deny the stats. 2-time Coach of the Year, NBA Coach of the Year. He won Coach of the Year in 2008-2009 season as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He also won the award in 22-23 as a head coach from when his first year with the Sacramento Kings. He was 5 times within the top 15 in NBA head coaching. As head coach of the year, he ranked in the top 15 5 times in his coaching career. His career numbers right now, his career record stands at, let me do the math. Why am I struggling right now on this? Because right now, okay, he's 554 wins, to 304 losers. He has a .599 winning percentage. His playoff record, 90 games coached, he is 50-40 in the playoffs, and that's important, brother, because when you get rid of Tibbs, the biggest thing was, obviously the Knicks, and this is not even something that was made up. The Knicks wrote this in their kind of farewell reasoning, I don't know, however you want to point it, when in firing Thibodeau, is that they felt they've maximized Tom Thibodeau, he's maximized this roster, but however they feel like he hasn't maximized them enough. They felt like they've maximized their efforts with Tibbs. They need a coach that's going to take this team to the next level. I'm going to be honest, and I said this before, I wasn't too crazy about Mike Brown because Mike Brown's been around the coaching. He's been around so long, brother, that I've just put him in the Tibbs category of those old coaching. I just thought Taylor Jenkins would have excited me more. But now looking over after he got hired, looking at what his stats, looking at how his offense has ranked within the top 10 most of his years as a head coach, I'm not hating it because I also know Mike Brown is not a worse coach than Tom Thibodeau. He may not be a better coach. That's to be seen with this roster. But I know for a fact he's not a worse coach than Thibodeau.
There wasn't a lot of excitement with this signing, and I think one of the reasons for me had to be how long it took. You kind of wanted the idea. You had the idea that the Knicks would go into this, and we didn't have that many draft picks, so let's not just put it just because of draft. But you kind of want to have your coach in the room for that kind of stuff. Now, of course, looking back at everything, you can see that this probably, on paper, is the best assembled team that he has to begin with than he has had in his previous 10 years. He's got Cat, he's got Brunson, he's got Mikal Bridges, he's got OG. He has a nice group of players to start off with as compared to, let's say, we're in Cleveland when he made the, was it championship game in 08, 09?
Cleveland, he made the finals.
There we go. But that was a LeBron just focused team. Everybody else was just like role guys at that point. And then with the Kings, the Iron Fox is a great talent, and they made progress and got to the postseason, but that's still not the best team that he's had to coach. So I would say, he's already starting off with a talented team. What he does with it is what we want to see, because we already were frustrated with Tibbs with so many things that he didn't do. Tibbs wasn't making enough adjustments in game and just going into the game. Tibbs wasn't getting younger guys involved as much as we would like them to see to develop them, so that way we don't have to go out and make a major signing. Maybe we have somebody that we just homegrown talent that is there, but we weren't getting that. And I'm hoping this is something that we can see from Mike Brown, because that's what we want to see going forward. We don't want to have to rely on the big signings and the big trades to get ourselves, out of this purgatory that we were for many, many years as Knicks fans. I with Mike Brown, I just want to see what happens, and it's not the most sexy news, I guess, that could come out for the Knicks signings as far as coaches go, but we are here now. We're gonna give him a fair shake, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think this is probably from top to bottom the most talented team he's had, right? Because those LeBron teams were just LeBron. It was almost like Gladys Knight and the Pips. Nobody knows who the Pips are. You know who Gladys Knight is. And that's those LeBron teams. The Sacramento teams, you know what I mean? Like, they were in a tough situation, and he was able to get the most out of them. Now, I know the big thing, I think it was Jeff Teague that said it in his podcast this past week. He's like, guys don't really mess with Mike Brown like that. You never hear players gloatingly talk well about Mike Brown. And my thing to this is this. I don't care what Jeff Teague says. I don't care. One thing about this Knicks roster as well is that, of course, guys got egos, but it's never on full display where you are worried. And I think we said this before when talking about the personalities of the Knicks, and like when we were talking about Taylor Jenkins, how he struggled with the personalities in Memphis. Any coach that was going to come in is not going to have that issue. And you hear very much like Thibodeau that Mike Brown was a guy who learned from his experience to loosen up and kind of be a player's coach. So I'm not worried about that. I do know what Mike Brown can bring. Good defensive mind, but also his offense has ranked in the top 5 within touches and assists. That's something that was problematic in Thibodeau's offense with the Knicks. He's going to play the bench. He's not, for guys that wanted Mike Malone, I didn't want Mike Malone because we knew Mike Malone is Tom Thibodeau part 2. It's just Mike Malone had Nikola Jokic. So we know that Mike Brown is going to put the bench and give the bench a little bit more minutes, where then you're taking some minutes from the starters. And Leon cooked this week, brother, because we talked about it in the opening about Shams was working, because the Knicks made him work too, because the Knicks made some big, I think, signings in the start of free agency to booster up their roster, booster up their bench, as the Knicks signed Jordan Clarkson to a vet minimum deal, and they signed who the guy I wanted at the trade deadline last season, this past season, which I just knew Philly wasn't gonna do it. Guerschon Yabusele. This is big, brother. These are two. This is what I wanted Leon Rose to do. All these Knicks fans want to swing. They want the home run. They want the Giannis. Yo, let's try to get KD. Oh, LeBron's available. Oh, he's hating. Let's get LeBron. My man, we were 2 games away from the NBA Finals. 6 games away from actually winning the whole damn thing. You try to get a Giannis. I get it. Giannis is top 5, arguably one of the best players in the league. You're gutting your team. You try to get a LeBron. You're gutting your team. You try to get a Kevin Durant. You're gutting your team. Why? Because of the salary cap. And the Knicks already being in the first apron. If you watch the damn playoffs, that's not our problem. Our problem was depth, was lack of having good players on the bench. So, you don't address the starting lineup. The starting lineup's not the issue. The starting lineup got us 2 games away from the NBA Finals. 6 games away from winning the damn thing. You address what you lack. The Knicks lack a good bench outside of Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson. Leon Rose addressed that with Jordan Clarkson and Yabusele. Yabusele is I get it, he is calling him a center would be crazy because I think Yabusele is 6'8". However, he's wide, pause, strong. Yeah, I see your face, but did you see my reaction last week when you said something crazy? Yeah, all right, so you got me back. But, brother, he reminds me, like, obviously, he's built like a Ben Wallace. Like, Ben Wallace wasn't 7 foot tall, whatever, but you know what I mean? So, yes, Yabusele, does he have his flaws? Maybe not such, he's not a rim protector. Obviously, he's 6'8". But the guy's going to bang in the paint. The guy's going to hit threes. You know what I mean? Almost a 40% shooter from 3. Got to work on his corner shooting. But then now you add Jordan Clarkson. And I know Jordan Clarkson only played 36 games this past season. But Jordan Clarkson averages about 16 points a game off the bench. And you're getting him for roughly over $2 million. Brother, the Yankees. This is why this team's been on my damn mind. I don't even want to talk about them. We're talking about the Knicks. Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson are actually going to be making less money than the combination of Campaign and Precious Achiuwa. Leon Rose cooked. That's all I'm saying. You're muted, bro. I think you're muted.
This is my first
There we
time.
go.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited for this signing. Jordan Clarkson has been a former Six-Man of the Year, has one of the top scorers coming off the bench for the Utah Jazz for many years. He is somebody that you really want to boost your bench when they come in. And Deuce McBride just needed some help. He needed somebody else to be that guy to take the load off him when he is in there coming off the bench and our guys go to sit down. You know, I can't tell you how many times that, like, yes, we know that Deuce McBride can get it done, but when he is the focal point of only offense coming in, and in the playoffs, we probably had the help of, why am I drawing a blank? I just had his picture up right now, of Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet helped in that playoff run, but that wasn't something that was consistent throughout the whole season. So this is one of those signings that just gets you excited for what the bench could be. And then you have Yabusele. And Yabusele was one of those players that I remember from the Olympics, watching that the game against the USA. And I was like, I think it was probably like the second quarter of it. I'm just like, this man's getting a contract. He is getting signed. Yeah. He is no way he's going to stay in Europe. He's going to get signed. And I think he's had a previous tenure before, if I'm not like thinking off the dome. He's been in the NBA before, but then he ended up going back to Europe.
Yeah,
and then
so he was drafted by the Celtics. Obviously didn't pan out. Went overseas, and it was about a 6-7 year gap. Yeah, but he really showed down in the Olympics, as you touched on.
He worked on his game, and then that got him a contract because he was putting it on. LeBron wasn't having a hard time against Yabusele. I'm not saying that we got a playoff run against LeBron and the Lakers, but at this point, that's somebody I want to see on my team coming off the bench. You know, you already have our starting five locked in. You have Josh Hart. From what we knew already, the starting five would be Josh Hart, Cat, Brunson, Mikal, and OG. Now you have Yabusele and Clarkson and McBride and
Mitch.
Jesus, their center Mitch Robinson, and whoever's the fourth guy out of that. That's great if we command a 10-man rotation. If it just ends up being a 9, then I'm great with that 9. I'm great.
It's a perfect segue to what you said. Yabusele obviously went for the mid-level exception. So that's the mid-level tax exemption. So if he would have taken the full mid-level tax exception, that would have hard capped the Knicks at the second apron. However, he actually took a little less. So shout out to Yabusele. Than the 5.7 million mid-level exception. So he's actually going to give the Knicks, by taking a little less, I'm not sure what the exact dollars is. I think maybe it goes from taking the full 5.7, I think he's taking 5.2, 5.3, whatever, something like that. He provided the Knicks enough space to sign another player for the vet minimum deal, helping out the team, and they won't be hard capped at the second apron. So that gives the Knicks another opportunity to possibly maybe bring back Landry Shamet. I know Landry Shamet has been the talk of maybe the discussion of possibly bringing him back. That gives them an opportunity to maybe see if they can get a Malcolm Brogdon or maybe Coffee from the Clippers or something like that, a wing, or or they want to go with a guard and Brogdon. But I think you hit the nail on his head. Whether Mike Brown wants to make a change to the lineup, whether he wants to take Josh Hart, implement Mitch, or put in Michael McBride. Shout out to the real fan Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, he said that this past week. Unless or he wants to switch in and put Deuce in. As you said, it gives us a good bench. You still have Jordan Clarkson who could play, get a basket of his own. I'm not worried about the antics he pulled in Utah, brother. That's the same, that's equivalent to in baseball. You're coming like Josh Chisholm, you came from the Marlins to the Yankees. Or you know what I mean? It's hard to be motivated when you're playing in a team that knowingly wants to tank. You know what I mean? And you're a vet player such as Jordan Clarkson. Now you're coming in to New York, a team that's built to win now. I think, are we going to get some head-scratching moments from Clarkson this year? Next season? 100%. I think what people's been saying, he might be like J.R. Smith. And I totally agree with that. J.R. Smith was awesome for us. He won Sixth Man of the Year for us. But J.R. Smith also did a lot of, what are you doing, guy? And I think we're going to get a lot of those moments. But they're going to be a lot more good moments outside of campaign. That campaign gave us a lot of "What are you doing, guy?" Moments. But brother, I want to ask you this question because honestly, I really you can never like predict what Leon Rose does. But I could assume the offseason moves are done. Maybe we may add another guy on a vet minimum. Are the Knicks currently constructed right now? Do you think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference?
I think currently standing, because we were 2 games away from going to the finals and we made the moves that we did, yes, they are the best team. And the reason being is because the Pacers are going to be out with Halliburton for quite some time. The Celtics have restructured so much that it's going to, and they only have Jaylen Brown as their main focal, and Derek White, your main focal things that you have to worry about. Cavs, they were first place this year, but they're not a team that like so much tells me they're the best team, but they're somebody we're definitely going to have to contend with. We did lose some games against them in the during the season. Actually, I think we lost all of them if I'm not mistaken.
We lost all of them.
But they added Lonzo Ball. So Lonzo Ball is a great
Right.
defender when he's on the court.
Right.
Orlando Magic is a team to look out for. The Atlanta Hawk is another team to look for because they also did some structural moves that make
We're
you
gonna
like,
get into that. Yep.
Yep,
We're gonna
you
get
look into that.
Yep.
You look into that and you're just like, okay, these teams will be better next year. The 76ers is not a team that I'm too concerned about because Joel Embiid is just the shell of a man. I think that the the Knicks right now, currently right now, if you
Wait. Bro. Guys, normally that term is said a shell of himself, which means he's not the same player he used to be. Dave said he's a shell of a man,
Right.
which is even more disrespectful. But I'm not hating it because we don't mess with the Sixers or Joel Embiid. So I just...
look, Joel Embiid when healthy is probably once again in the same argument.
Shell of a man.
Joel Embiid is the same thing as Anthony Davis. If healthy, they're one of the best players on the court.
100%,
Unfortunately,
100%,
you're not that
yeah.
person anymore. You're not healthy ever. So at this point, we're not. I'm not too concerned about the 76ers. And as good as a player as Maxey is, he's not going to lead it without a Joel Embiid with him. So
Yeah.
this Knicks team currently, as standard, as constructed, with the addition of Mike Brown and Jordan Clarkson and Yabusele, I think that this is the best team in the East. Now, of course, everything has to play out. This is on paper. Of course, we're homers, we're fans, so we're definitely going to see it a little bit different than maybe other fans do. But as far as, you can't deny it, we were 2 games away, and the Pacers are not in contention next year as far as, like, they're the team to worry for because they just lost Halliburton for at least half the year.
Look, I think on paper, even, yes, we are homers, but I think even on paper, you can't deny that the Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland Cavaliers, right now, the way they constructed, they lost Ty Jerome. Yes, I know they added Lonzo Ball, but they added a very injury-plagued guy. Right now, we don't know if Garland. I'm not sure if Garland's going to start the season. I don't know, but he's coming off surgery. They're known to flame out in the postseason. Orlando, yes, they got Desmond Bane, and they did make an acquisition that we're going to talk about on Quick Hits. That does help them and boost up their roster, but I'm not sure it's quite enough to contend with the Knicks. The Boston Celtics are shedding money, kind of punting, but respectively, their season. Atlanta has made adjustments to their squad, but I think currently constructed, outside obviously injuries have to, play a part. Guys got to remain healthy. This Knicks team will be the best team in the Eastern Conference. But that's going to add pressure to Mike Brown because now, as we said, countless time, the Knicks were 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. Mike Brown's got to get this team to the finals. I know they always say, oh, man, the East has never been wide open. This time, they are right. The East has never been this wide open. For the Knicks, they want to talk about for other teams. No, other teams got the Knicks to contend with. For the Knicks, it's never been wide open. You have to take advantage. And I think on paper, right now, July 7th, the airing of this episode, the Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. Now, let's see what they do going forward. Let's see if they add another, quality player with the veterans minimum. But right now, the Knicks are the best in the East, and we'll leave it at that. Now we got to get into a segment that I honestly, brother, I was just so pissed off that I was really considering not even talking about him. But we got a show, and we got fans of these particular teams that they want to hear our thoughts. So let's get into it. Subway Series. Hit it, Dave.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, y'all. This is the Subway Series. This is where, obviously, we're going to be covering both teams. Because, which team do you want to cover first, brother? You know what? Let's get them. Let's start with the Mets. Let's just start with the Mets. Let's start good. The Mets had a crappy week last week. They split with the Braves, and then you get swept by the Pirates. But they had a good week this week. I must admit that. They won 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. And as of this recording, they have taken the first 2 games of the Subway Series. So they've already won their 2 series for the week. They're going for the sweep this afternoon or Sunday afternoon. I'll just say this. I know last week I went back on my word about the Mets being the best team, the Mets being the favorites, them making the World Series. I'm going to stand by that. Because this Mets team, although they played well this week, have a lot of glaring holes. Really bad holes. And that's their starters that they just can't get length from. And when you can't get length from your starters, brother, you have to rely on your bullpen. And which was good in the beginning of the season. This bullpen is not good now. And those holes that the Mets have right now, it could change at the deadline. But right now, the way it's constructed, it's not getting to the National League, and it's not getting to the World Series.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, they won 4 out of their 5 games they've played so far this week. There's 1 more left to be played. So we'll see what's hopefully by the time I'm editing, the results should already be there. I doubt they're going to be playing 8 hours. So by the time I'm editing this, the score will be posted as of right now. And then we'll go from there. But the Mets have an opportunity to capitalize on what they have going for them, right? A lot of things are going right for them this week. And coming off of a really bum week, the week prior, they're putting themselves in a good position, especially as we lead into the All-Star break, which is where teams usually either have made a move, because I believe the trade deadline's before the All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, it's after.
It's right, but it's shortly right after, right? It's not so long after.
Yeah. I'll check. I'll check.
Yeah, can you double check that for me? So they have the opportunity to not only get some rest, but also make some adjustments that help them go into the second half of the season, because that's the thing about baseball. It is a really long season, and it's too early sometimes to judge even how your first half goes.
It's the 31st. It's the 31st of July, so it's actually after.
Okay, so they have some time. My bad. I'll retract my words. But they still have some time to see where is it that this team is going to be heading going into the second half of the season. And this is a Mets team, a franchise. I won't say the current Mets team. This is a Mets franchise that has dealt with a lot of second half failures in their season. So this is a time for them to readjust and just take advantage of the wins that you've been getting. Keep piling that on. Unfortunately, right now it's happening against our Yankees, but that's fine because we are also fans of the Mets here, so we want them to win. Just make it happen.
Yeah, and as I said in the monologue, right now the Mets are just the prettiest ugly girl in the dance. You're going against the horrendous looking Yankees right now. So everything is good. Everything, and as it should if you're a Met fan. And I don't want to be a salty hater, Mets hater, because I'm not Dave. The Mets, as you should, as Mets fans, celebrated. Yankee fans did the same in May, which feels like 3 years ago, brother. From the last time they played at Yankee Stadium. Be excited, 100%. Don't, I guess, focus on, the holes that you guys got this weekend because you guys are, you guys are beating the Yankees at home and you're doing it pretty, pretty forcefully. I may say, yes. But when there are a lot of things. The thing, and this is what scares me when it comes to the Yankees. The Yankees and the Mets need so many things that I just don't know right now. The way the standings are, there are going to be teams that are willing to sell. I think you're going to get more buyers than you are going to get sellers. And right now, the Mets need starting pitching. The Mets need at least another arm in the bullpen. At least the good news is, word has it that I think they may be getting Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea this week. So that's going to be a big help to the starting rotation. But if you think about it, those guys are gradually going to be getting back. So you're not going to be getting length from those guys upon their arrival. I do like that the deadline is the 31st. I'm pretty sure David Stern has highlighted maybe players or things he needs to address. So outside of that, guys, Met fans, I know you guys are the prettiest ugly girl right now, but I'll take it right now over the horrendous looking Yankees. Because right now the Yankees, and I tweeted this the other day, I've said this on the Ozone months ago, the worst thing the Yankees ever did within this Boone run, Brian Cashman run, was make the World Series last year. We secured their jobs. As simple as that. Yankee fans, I know you want Boone gone. I know y'all want Cashman gone. That ain't happening because they made the World Series. This is not going to happen where Aaron Boone's going to get fired. But clearly something needs to happen because they're not listening to Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone is going every day, post-game shows. Oh, we're the best team. We're just not playing. You're not the best team. You're not. You got a washed-up second baseman. You got a first baseman that, you know what, is starting to play like a 37-year-old. You got a shortstop that you've been saying is the next Derek Jeter, and he's ass. He is ass. He is ass. I'm sick of Anthony Volpe. Sick. The guy's like 1 for 60 with runners in scoring position. And then you hit Aaron Judge. Josh Chisholm's not a third baseman. He's a second baseman. But what do you continue to do? Have Josh Chisholm at third base. You acknowledge that, you know what? We have to get a third baseman at the deadline because we don't have a traditional third baseman. You put Oswaldo Peraza in the lineup and you play him at second base when he can play a better third base than Josh Chisholm. The only thing that's been nice to see in this losing streak, if you even want to call it a silver lining, outside of obviously the greatness of Aaron Judge, is Jason Dominguez. Which I know we've said on this damn show, play the goddamn guy every day. Guy leads off, hits 2 home runs, and then you bat him 5th the next day. Yankees ain't won a damn game since the last time we recorded an episode. You got Toronto broadcasters making fun of us. You got George Springer dancing around, hot-stepping like he's Drake. And what do? Oh, well, we're a good team. We're the best team. We're just not playing like it. All right, brother, got anything to add?
I think you said it all. I think you used my inner voice.
bro. I can't.
Brother, I am upset with the Yankees. I think besides those two that you mentioned, Judge and Dominguez, I think the other highlight on this team is Max Fried, because that is the only time I actually feel like the Yankees actually have a shot on the mound, confidently going into the game. During the game is different, and you definitely get a feel for what it's going to be. But Max Fried has been a highlight on this team, and we get to see him on the mound as of this recording today. Before this episode drops, so I'm hoping that when I post the stats for this game, we see at least a W with, not wasting a Fried start.
They did the last start. They did the last start.
Yeah.
Look, and it gets worse. Clarke Schmidt needs Tommy John. So now, what was a strength for the Yankees is now it's something that now we might have to address at the deadline, because I know for damn sure we're not looking forward to seeing Marcus Stroman pitching in a playoff start. So now you might have to address the starting pitching. Devin Williams is another one that, you know what, brother, Luke Weaver, I know he's struggling. It is what it is. I like Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver showed that he's got the dog in him. I don't think he's 100% healthy. I think that's why he's struggling. But Devin Williams needs to, I almost put the F word. He needs to go. Get what you can get from him. You already know you're not bringing him back. He just doesn't click. He's not ready for the bright lights. We can see that. We saw a glimpse of it, and we, us as Yankee fans and being homers, we defended that. But we saw a glimpse of it when Pete Alonso exposed that man in the playoffs last year. And you're seeing it now. He puts too many guys on, too many wild pitches. His control's not always there. This man is a combination of Clay Holmes and Aroldis Chapman all in one. He's just not it. Get what you can get out of him. I actually saw something on Twitter where it was like, look, just get what you can get out of Goldschmidt. Whatever, whether it's a prospect within the top 20 of somebody's team. Get rid of Goldschmidt. Get rid of Trent. Play Dominguez every day. Play Ben Rice every day. Try to get some relief and get a starting pitcher, and flip Devin Williams. Maybe see if we can flip Devin Williams. And I'm totally on board with that, because I don't think that makes the Yankees as sellers if they were to make those moves. Because I think I would much rather have a Ben Rice now playing every day than Goldschmidt. And this is why I'll credit the Mets, because the Yankees don't have the cojones, the grapefruits, to do it with Anthony Volpe. The Mets realize that Francisco Alvarez just maybe needs a little bit. Maybe we pushed him up. Maybe we pushed him up too soon. He needs to settle down. He needs to get back to his mechanics. He needs to get back to what made him such a top prospect. And they sent him down. The Mets had the cojones to send him down. And he is raking right now in AAA. And I think he will benefit off that. The Yankees need to do that with Anthony Volpe. Because you know why? Volpe ain't hitting. And people want to put the stats that accommodate them. Like, he's still in the top this. I don't give a crap. The eye tells me he's ass. And then he's making horrible reads that he made last year that hasn't been improved. Allowing runners to advance off his bad decision-making in Toronto that he did twice, back-to-back plays that he did in the World Series in Game 5. And then he goes, I could have made that play. Doubling down on those actions as opposed to, you know what? I shouldn't have made that. I should have held it. I should have ate the ball. I shouldn't have thrown it to third. You kind of dealt with his ass performance as an offense because, he's a gold glove shortstop. You're not playing like that now. Now you're just playing like an entitled kid that the Yankees are forcing this fake-ass legacy on because he grew up a Yankee fan. Who didn't grow up a Yankee fan? Who didn't idolize Derek Jeter? That's not good enough to have you on my damn team. You got anything to close, brother, before we go on?
Let's wrap this up.
All right, let's wrap up with the schedule. The Yankees got a homestand that, I'm going to be honest, is not going to get easier. It's not going to get easier. They got a 3-game set with Cal Raleigh Some say he might be the lead MVP in the American League and the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners are not in first place, but they're over a 500 team, and the way the Yankees are playing, they can easily get swept. And they're playing, and they wrap up the homestand before the All-Star break against the Chicago Cubs. I'm going to be honest, I have no confidence in this team. I'm going to give the Yankees do 2 out of 3 to both. Yeah, brother.
Same here.
The
Yankees got to. You want to be a fan. You want to be excited. Baseball season and enjoy. Yeah. But right now, there's nothing to smile about.
No.
There's nothing to smile about when it comes to the Yankees. So, you have Aaron Judge, and he's our glaring leader in so many categories. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean anything if you're not winning games.
They are
won any games.
They are wasting Aaron Judge. They are wasting Aaron Judge's. This is starting to look like Melo's years in the Knicks. You're just wasting it. The Mets got a road stand as they lead to the All-Star break. 3 against the Orioles, 3 against the Royals. This is a funny week, bro, because I think it could be very good for the Mets or it could be very ugly. I would say both teams, Baltimore and Kansas City, are underachieving this season. No doubt about that. In Baltimore's case, they can rake, and I think that might give the Mets issues because their pitching suspect, but their hitting has been there. But I do think the Mets take 2 out of 3 in both.
Yeah, I got them winning 2 out of 3 against the Orioles, and I got them sweeping in the series against the Royals.
Ooh, okay, all right. Well, hey, I can't be mad at that. But let's get out of this depressing segment and more to a more exciting, exhilarating segment. That's Quick Hits. All right, y'all. Quick Hits. This is Quick Hits. This is where we cover everything around the globe. The hits are so quick, you don't see it coming. Brother, NBA free agency definitely continued to rev up since last week's show, as we touched on, as the Denver Nuggets made some significant changes to their lineup, as the Denver Nuggets traded Michael Porter Jr. and an unprotected 2032 draft pick to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson. They also traded Dario Saric to the Sacramento Kings for Jonas Valanciunas, and they signed Bruce Brown and sharpshooter Tim Hardaway Jr. to 1-year deals. Now, brother, does these moves make the Denver Nuggets Oklahoma City's biggest threat?
At this time of recording, I would say no. Because you still have the Timberwolves, who just re-signed Randall and Naz Reid. I think that's somebody they still have to worry about for at the time of this recording. But, the Nuggets is one of those teams that the OKC Thunder beat on their way to the finals. They're not going to be the same team next year. And I think, Russell Westbrook is still a free agent, so he's not returning back there, I think. Yeah, they're going to be in contention, but they're not the biggest threat to OKC right now. I would say that. What do you think, bro?
I gotta disagree with you because I think they gave OKC the toughest matchup they've had in the entire postseason. Maybe Indiana, but Denver took them to 7, and I think Denver's issues were similar to the Knicks. They had no bench, so what you do is you get a cheaper, more dependable Cam Johnson over Michael Porter. I don't think that we're getting Cam Jordan, right? I kept writing Cam Johnson. It's Cam Johnson. I kept writing Cam Jordan in the script. Cam Johnson. I think Cam Johnson is a slight upgrade over Michael Porter Jr. Defensively, and I think what he can bring offensive, I think he could give them enough where you're not missing Michael Porter Jr. Adding Tim Hardaway and adding Bruce Brown, especially Bruce Brown because he's won with them before. And then adding a sharpshooter like Tim Hardaway. Now, I think the Joe Valanciunas thing, he may get bought out because apparently he wants to go back home and play basketball there. But if so, the way it's constructed right now, I do think they're OKC's biggest threat due to similar to the Knicks, fixed glaring issues that they had, which was depth on their bench, and they addressed that.
I hear you. All right, the Atlanta Hawks also made some impactful moves of their own as they signed free agent Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Timberwolves to a 4-year, $62 million deal, and a sharpshooter Luke Kennard to 1-year, $11 million deal. Are the Hawks a real competitor in the East after the offseason moves they made?
I'll tell you this. The Hawks has always been that play-in team. They've been hovering in the play-in. They're always in the play-in. They fall short. Sometimes they get to the 8th spot and they lose. I would say this: the way this Hawks team is constructed, and considering the way the East is formatted right now, the way the East is looking at these teams, I think they could easily be a 6th-place team. As you touched on, I'm not 100% sold on the Sixers being able to bounce back because I just can't rely on the health of Paul George and Joel Embiid. You got the Knicks, you got Cleveland, you got Orlando. Indiana has fallen off. We don't know what we're going to get from Milwaukee. So, yes, I think Atlanta does have an opportunity to hover within that 4th to 6th seed. I like what they did getting Nickeil Alexander-Walker to pair him up with Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Sakari Ross, their number 1 pick last year. I tell you, man, they're going to give people fits. They're going to give people fits. They got the wings there. And obviously, as much as we hate them, you know what Trae Young is going to bring. You add another shooter in Luke Kennard. You look at, he reminds me of Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter had a lot of success in Atlanta. He was a sniper. I can't see Luke Kennard. I can see Luke Kennard playing in that same role. So, yeah, I think Atlanta is going to be a competitor in the Eastern Conference. Now, what level of competitor they're going to be, that remains to be seen. But, brother, some notable point guards will be changing their teams as free agent. Spencer Dinwiddie agreed to a 1-year deal with the Charlotte Hornets. Dennis Schroeder agreed to a nice little 3-year deal, $45 million with the Sacramento Kings. Tyus Jones agreed on a 1-year, $7 million deal on the Rockets. Ty Jerome agreed to a 3-year, $28 million deal with the Grizzlies. And D'Angelo Russell has agreed to a 2-year, $13 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks. Brother, which guard suited to play their best on their new team?
Honestly, I would say Tyus Jones. That was a signing that I wish the Knicks had picked up. Tyus Jones, I think, has the opportunity to make the most out of that deal. I did also like the Dennis Schroeder signing for the Kings, but I don't know where they stand as far as how much that improves his team. He could be good for himself. I think that. And then the other one that I do like is the Ty Jerome to the Memphis Grizzlies, but I think the best one for their team going forward would be Tyus Jones.
I'm going to be honest. Out of them, I got to agree with you on that. I got to agree with you on because you know why? The Spencer Dinwiddie thing is clearly going to be him getting traded at the deadline. Maybe the Hornets could get picks about that. Dennis Schroeder is going to get time in Sacramento, but I do like the Tyus Jones. He does add a level of playmaking for Orlando, which they lack, and they needed that. Now, is that enough to get them over? Probably not, but it's enough to get them where they want to be, which is contending in the Eastern Conference and giving themselves a shot. So I will agree with Tyus Jones. I think is going to be the guard best suited for their new team for sure.
All right. It's not only guards having fun this offseason, as we got notable big men changing scenery as well. As free agent center, Luke Cornett for the Celtics has agreed to a 4-year, $41 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs. Brook Lopez agreed to a 2-year, $18 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. DeAndre Ayton signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. Clint Capella agreed to the 3-year, $21.5 million deal with the Rockets. And Kevon Looney agreed to a 2-year, $16 million deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. Which big man will have the biggest impact on their team, do you think, bro?
I struggled between two. And that was Brook Lopez was my initial pick. Brook Lopez going to the Clippers. I like them adding Brook Lopez. I think he's going to be a valuable backup to Zubac, who's a phenomenal center. Because Brook Lopez can stretch the floor. Brook Lopez is best suited now in his career, considering his age, as a backup as opposed to when he started for Milwaukee. But I think you got to go DeAndre Ayton only because you got to add the LeBron factor to this Lakers. LeBron wants to win now, and I think and I think also DeAndre Ayton's career is on the line when it comes to this experiment here with the Lakers. You know what I mean? He was a number one pick out of Phoenix. Phoenix eventually didn't want to pay him. You got to look into that. And you got to look into a team like where he went to next, which was Portland. In Portland, you know, you hear from around the league that, you know, Chauncey Billups is one of the best guys in the league. His, you know, as far as getting along with his coaching style, you know, obviously his days as a player, and even Chauncey Billups. If Chauncey Billups didn't want you, it's something. You know, he was missing games because he was snowed in his garage. So, you know, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that I can't be a hypocrite. What I said with Jordan Clarkson, maybe he wasn't that motivated to play in Portland. That shouldn't be a thing because these guys are professionals, but we know they're also human. Now with the Lakers, let's see if he's that motivated and can be that number one center, the number one pick as he played in some years especially when Chris Paul was there in Phoenix. So I think he will make the biggest impact on our team.
I agree. DeAndre Ayton is the player that I see that, you know, of these big men who have signed, he has the most to benefit from. You are going to be playing under the LeBron team, so that takes a lot of focus off you. That's something that just, like, it can't go unsaid. LeBron takes a lot of focus off. And then you also have that team with Luka. So it's just, you don't have to be the focal point where you were in Phoenix until, you know, Booker became the clear star of that team. And then you end up going to the Trailblazers, and nobody wants to play in Portland. Let's just be honest. As good of a coach as Chauncey Billups is, nobody wants to be there. As Drew Holiday. But we definitely have an opportunity to see Ayton play his best ball. It's just a matter of if it's going to work for him, if he actually shows up. Because at the end of the day, he also has not delivered on the promise of what he could be. You know, they're the best big man in the league is Jokic, Joker, but you had the potential to be that guy, and then something just you were in a slide. I don't think you're better than Joker, but you at least could be in the top. You could be in the top five.
Not even
you could be in the top five, right?
Lakers just need him to be in the top 10.
Yeah, at this point, that works for the Lakers. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, brother. But let's keep it on the big man conversation. As free agent center Myles Turner leaving the Indiana Pacers, that makes them a lot weaker. Signs a 4-year deal, $107 million deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, plus a player option for the 4th year in 28-29. To accomplish this feat, however, the Milwaukee Bucks waived All-Star guard Damian Lillard and is stretching the remaining $113 million deal on his contract in order to acquire Myles Turner. Now, brother, is that the right move the Bucks needed to make to keep Giannis happy?
I'm going to post right now Giannis's reaction as soon as the Myles Turner thing and everything was played out. That man doesn't sound happy. That man doesn't sound happy. So, at the time of this recording, it is, and when this video is posted, it will be July 7th. Now, obviously, something can change from here to now. It is very early on a Sunday morning as we record this, so who knows? Giannis could be traded away, and that could put the writing on the wall of him not wanting to be there. At this moment, we also said that the East is the biggest, the path to the East is the biggest it's ever been for teams that just weren't there before, and especially our Knicks. For the Bucks, let's go back there. This does not make the Bucks so much of a contender. This is just another piece that you would like. You know, Myles Turner is a good player, but I don't think this helps the Bucks be a contender next year. So, does this keep Giannis happy? No. But you need to do something more for him, and if not, I can see him literally formally requesting a trade because Giannis is not that guy. He's not going to go out there and just he's not going to go against the Bucks publicly as loud as that, but he is definitely not happy at this time, and you can't tell me any different. How do you feel, bro?
I'm going to be honest. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, go for the Bucks. I thought I thought that was a fair deal, considering when you look at what other centers got, what Myles Turner could bring as a stretch big. So I was initially my thought was, yo, good job, Milwaukee. Um, but then you're hearing what they had to do to Dame in order to get there. And initially I'm like, well, you think about it, Dame's more than likely going to miss this coming season. I think he's going to be 37 by the time he returns, or 38. So you go, okay. But then the Giannis thing comes out. And Chris Haynes reported he's not happy, and then you saw the tweet. Right now, the Bucks are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Giannis is the reason why downtown Milwaukee looks the way it is. I believe they're still developing luxury apartments or hotels or whatever the case may be around there. So you can see that Milwaukee doesn't necessarily want to get rid of Giannis. They want to do whatever they can. I think that's a move of that. And what does they say? Desperate times calls for desperate measures, and I think that's where Milwaukee's at right now. Now, look, brother, a lot can change. Where, as you said, a lot can change from the airing of this episode, but a lot could change also when 20 games into the season and maybe the Bucks are 15-5 and Myles Turner is working out, because I do think Myles Turner is a younger, better Brook Lopez, and we know how well Brook Lopez played with Giannis. So that remains to be seen, but let's see what happens.
Yeah. All right. So Bucks division foe, Pistons, have made a move to boost their roster as they signed free agent guard Chris LeVert, and he's agreed to a 2-year, $29 million deal. Free agent Duncan Robinson also agreed to a 3-year, $48 million deal with the Pistons. Are these the right signings to help Cade propel to the Pistons to... Hold on. Let's read that over. Are these the right signings to help Cade propel the Pistons to an even more successful season than last?
I think so. Obviously the Malik Beasley thing, obviously they had to pivot. They didn't sign Dennis Schroeder. I don't think they needed Dennis Schroeder because you're gonna be getting Jordan Ivey back, and I think the Schroeder move was more based off them losing Ivey last year. I think adding a good wing defender in Caris LeVert, I think it's good for them. Caris LeVert is a solid, respectable 3-point shooter. And then you look at Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson does lack on the defensive end, but Duncan Robinson has always been a good 3-point shooter throughout his career in Miami. Played at Michigan, has ties to Detroit. So I do like those moves. However, it's different when teams are not expecting you to play well. Teams are not expecting you to be good. The mindset has changed now when it comes to the Pistons, so that's going to be a challenge within itself. However, I think those roster moves does help Cade in helping Detroit have an even better year than they had this past season. But, brother, let's shift gears to football, as this shocked me when I heard it this week. Reports that the New York Giants are finalizing a deal to send retired tight end Darren Waller, along with a 2027 7th-round pick to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for a conditional 6th-round pick in 2026. Brother, could this surprise move hint towards a monumental comeback for Waller, or is it just simply cleaning up the cap space for the Giants?
I think both. So let's focus on the Giants because this is a New York-based show. Look, at the end of the day, the guy was retired, and if he decides he wants to come back, at least get something out of him. It is what it is, and you just got he wasn't gonna play for you guys, so whatever. And for Waller, I mean, your music career sucked. You fumbled Kelsey Plum, so what else can you do? And the Dolphins, they just lost Jonnu Smith, or not lost. They traded away Jonnu Smith to the Steelers. Right. So this was a perfect time to pick up a tight end at this point. We know what Waller could do in his better playing days. I don't know if Miami gets that, but anything to take the distraction off of Hill and Waddle helps your chances. But I honestly, if you're asking me, best case scenario, the Dolphins end up third in their division.
Look, for my Giants, I could care less. Darren Waller did nothing for us. He just complained. Bleep that out, brother. complained about blocking. He's not, he's a tight end at position, but he's just a bigger wide receiver. He doesn't want to block. So him and the Giants were doomed from start because that's just not the way the Giants play their tight ends. I honestly think the guy was running out of money, and Miami is dumb enough to bring him. With the Dolphins part, it's more of a, I guess for them, it's a low risk, high reward. But I think for Waller, I think it checks all the boxes, brother, if you think about it, right? For an aspiring music career, right? He can do the bare minimum. He can do the bare minimum in Miami, and he'll be touted for it because he's like, oh, wow, he came back and scored 4 touchdowns for the Dolphins. You know what I mean? But now he has Miami, he's in Miami, and he's getting an NFL contract. You put those together. So it is what it is. But let's finish it off. Let's finish off quick hits with something I enjoyed.
All right,
brother. The final. No. This is my read. This is my read. Yeah. And anyway, I would like to get your opinion first on it. The final 3 episodes of Ironheart had dropped this past week. Brother, what's your overall thoughts, and where does it rank amongst the other MCU Disney Plus series?
All right. My final thoughts. Let's start with that first. My final thoughts is that this was a series that, unfortunately, because of the way that fandom works these days, people were bashing it and trashing it before they even got a minute's worth of watching the show. But if you're one of those people who would like to see and not have your opinions given to you by the internet, I would say give the show a fair shake because it's a lot better than people gave it credit for who had not even seen the show. Riri Williams is a very young woman who is making a lot of decisions for the first time because she has to scrap and make it happen. And she kind of does, and she doesn't see herself line up with the best of characters, and that's how we get her aligned with the Hood. I do love that we got Mephisto in this, and it is a spoiler alert, but watch the show. Mephisto finally is...
honestly, bro, real fans seen it now, and if you're a casual, you probably don't know who Mephisto is anyway, so don't feel bad, brother. Don't feel bad.
Mephisto has been teased since WandaVision, so this is one of those things that we've been waiting, and it's just a matter of when it happens. And then you pick the best character, the best person who could have played a Mephisto-like character, which is Sacha Baron Cohen. I think it was mentioned in the group chat this week that you could forget that this guy could act besides doing his funny roles. They perfect signing. I definitely see Mephisto being a character that's going to be used again in other projects. And then I just the one thing about Riri is just like, girl, you could have made a better decision. You could have walked away. That's the only thing I was just thinking. Especially for what you wanted. You wanted. Watch the show and then we'll come back to this later on. As far as my rankings, I'd probably put it in top 6. Top 6 because I think Loki, WandaVision, and have really set the standard of what the MCU Disney shows could be. Daredevil's up there, Miss Marvel's up there, and then I think Hawkeye, I'd place right before Ironheart, but it's not a bad show, and I definitely say it's worth a watch, especially if you are a Marvel fan. Brother.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I actually loved it, to be honest. As you touched on, it didn't have a lot of fanfare because I just think people aren't willing to give characters that they're not familiar with a shot. I think that's what it is, and I thought it was good. I understand, like when the rumors came out that Mephisto and it was going to premiere. He's going to debut as a character in Ironheart. I just didn't get the connection. But then watching it, you see it, and I love, if you could, brother, look up the actress who played Riri Williams. She was phenomenal. Her acting is there. They added so much depth to the character that I felt if this was done before Wakanda Forever, you would have been more invested in her in Wakanda Forever. Where I thought, where I get them introducing her, so like people familiar with the character in such a big movie, but you didn't care about her. Now you do.
Dominique
because
Thorne, by the way.
Dominique Thorne. And I know she had auditioned because there's like tape of her audition as Shuri, but obviously she didn't get in. And Ryan Coogler already had her like, look, we're gonna bring you in for another role, and that's how talented she is. But as you said, obviously she made a deal, as they say, she made a deal with the devil, and desperate times calls for desperate measures. I think you can, although we all can agree that she shouldn't have made that deal, but we can all understand why she made the deal. When you watch it, I think the 6 episodes flow so well. I like the way Disney laid it out. You're the one that told me, brother, that they're starting to do that with their top shows. And I like that. They dropped 3 episodes one week, dropped the other 3 the next week. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think amongst the MCU series, though, goes, I have it over Miss Marvel. Obviously, I have Loki, WandaVision, Daredevil. I don't know in what particular order. I think I'm going to go with Loki, then Daredevil, then WandaVision. And I'm going to go with Ironheart. I'm going to go with Hawkeye, then Ironheart. Because I did love Hawkeye. I have Ironheart over Miss Marvel. And I like Miss Marvel, but I really enjoyed Ironheart. But brother,
we could revisit this at the end of the year where we do a top 10 of our movies and shows.
Yeah, because we also got Mr. Wonderful, I believe, is also dropping this year. So I think there's one more. Wonder Man, sorry. Shout out RP, Mr. Wonderful. Wonder Man, I believe, is coming out, and I think that's the next Disney Plus series. I'm not sure if they have another one, but we'll get into that. But brother, we got one last quick hits that I forgot to mention because the airing of this Superman is coming out this week. Obviously, we haven't seen it yet. I'm assuming I'm going to see it on Friday. You're going to see it?
Saturday.
You're going to see it Saturday. What's your level of hypeness, 1 to 10?
Because it is done by James Gunn and this new regime, and it's the first movie in this, I'm very excited. I do think the Snyder fans are very, very corny in how they want to boycott the movie.
No, is that a thing? Is that a thing? Really?
It literally is a thing where they want to boycott the movie and they want to watch. Yeah, so it's corny, and my thing is just here's my thing, right? Like, I'm very excited for the movie, but I just want to talk about the Snyder stuff. Snyder's version of Superman is, yes, a very powerful Superman, right? But at the end of the day, what has always made Superman the thing is as much as what makes Captain America the thing. And that is that they're always a good person at heart. And they're going to do what's best. It's not because you can move the sun or do all these incredible feats that Superman can do. It's not about that. It's the fact that no matter at the end of the day, this man is just a good man at heart with all the power in the world, but decides to hold back when he needs to, just because his intention is not to kill, as people see Henry Cavill's Superman, which Henry Cavill was great. Their fans just make it really bad for him. So I am very excited for this movie. There's going to be a lot of things to brought into this. This is a Superman who's been established for a few years already in this universe. Now people know of him, so this is not like a retelling of him losing his father and stuff like that. I'm really excited. I really am.
I think, I think what you said kind of just had everything. I didn't know that the whole boycotting. I don't know why people it's not that serious, dog.
And the series is not that good.
Are you a Zack Snyder fan or are you a Superman fan? That that would be my question I would pose to them, because it's like, if you're a Superman fan, then you should be excited. I'm gonna be honest. I can understand if it was maybe a Joss Whedon and you go, oh, really? You give it to that guy? But you give it to a guy like James Gunn. Now, let's just be honest. Since Guardians 1 has not missed on anything he's done. From the Guardians trilogy to Suicide Squad to Peacemaker, you know what I mean? I believe he's also done some DC animations. He's had his hands on some of those. But, he has not missed. This guy is a comic nerd. You know what I mean? I don't think you ever have to doubt the passion that James Gunn is going to put into a character. I'm excited for this Superman. I'll be honest, I'm not a DC guy. I know the main characters in DC. I don't know a lot of these characters that's going to be in the movie, but I'm excited to learn it because I know James Gunn is going to find a way. I'll tell you this, James Gunn has has a great way in making you care for characters you have no idea who they are. He has done a phenomenal job in doing that, and I don't think he's gonna do any different here with this Superman. I'm excited. I have my Superman merch ready. I know you do, brother. And I'm excited for it. And next week's episode, we'll break down. We'll get into what we liked or did we like the movie. So I think
Spoiler
it's a big
free,
week for
but yeah.
spoiler free, 100%. I think it's a big week for DC because, as you said, this is the first of the James Gunn DC EU universe. So it's big. But brother, we can't wrap up a show without sharing the highlight of the week. So let's get into it.
He's on fire!
All right, y'all, highlight of the week. We've done something different. And I think Dave and I, we've had conversations, and we're going to do this going forward. This week's highlight of the week was actually recommended to us. Shout outs to Ayo Zeus on YouTube, our friend Joey. Recommended highlight of the week. And he's got his wish. His wish is the Ozo's, command. As highlight of the week is going to go to Willa Abreu. I don't know, that's how you pronounce his name. Wire Abreu. But also, the Ozo put a little switch because this is the first time ever because it's been done 3 times. So we're going to give it to Boston Red Sox, William Abreu, Tampa Bay Rays, Jake Magnum, and Diamondbacks Randall Grichuk, as all 3 of these gentlemen hit inside the park home runs this week. Obviously, Willa Abreu was the first to do so. Then Jake hit it a couple days after, and then Randall Grichuk hit it inside the park on Saturday. Shout outs to those 3 players. Phenomenal feat. I love inside the park home runs. You don't often see it. It's a very softball, little league style of home run, especially, if you grew up in New York City. There's mainly no fences at home, so when you hit a bomb, you gotta run, and you gotta run a lot, and it often doesn't happen in MLB. So to see those gentlemen accomplish that in the same week, I think one couldn't be left out. So shout outs to those 3 gentlemen winning, being recipients of the highlight of the week.
Yeah, I think, as a hitter, I think one of the best things in baseball is either one, getting your first home run as a player, maybe getting that grand slam walk-off is the second, probably one of the greatest feelings you can have, especially in the big clutch moment. But inside the park home run has to at least be second or third in your list of one of those things that you wish you could do, because it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have it that often, and it electrifies the whole stadium once you see that happening. It doesn't matter if you're the opposing team, depending on who's the rival you're playing, or if you're the home team. But at the end of the day, that's one of the best plays to watch. And as you guys seen the last 3 plays, this is amazing, and we probably won't see it again maybe this season. Who knows? If it happens again, we'll do it again. But kudos to you guys, because get the man them oxygen tanks, because they needed them.
Yeah, just saw the lineup for the Mets game, Yankees Mets. Aaron Boone doesn't have Jason Dominguez in the lineup. Jesus Christ. But guys, going forward, we want you guys to recommend us what should be on highlight of the week for the next episode of the Ozone. All right, guys, we all watch sports, and for those that don't, I'm pretty sure on your feed you get sports highlights, and if you think that something is special that you think should be a recipient of the highlight of the week, DM us. And by doing that, how do you DM us? Well, you got to follow us on all our social media platforms, especially on Instagram. So you can DM us there. You can DM us on TikTok. You can also DM us on Twitter. You can get at us at Threads, or you can even comment at us on Reddit. Let us know what you think should be highlight of the week for next week's episode of the Ozone. What do you think about the recent Yankee struggles? Do you think that the Mets are turning it around, or they're just the prettiest ugly girls because they're playing the horrendous Yankees? And what do you think about the Knicks moves? Are these moves, is Mike Brown the right coach to finally get the Knicks to the NBA Finals for the first time in 26 years? Let us know what you think. Go ahead, brother.
So one thing with the highlight of the week, just to help make my life and Omar's life a little bit easier, so we can have at least prepared for the script. the deadline to submit that video would be 12 o'clock Saturday, because anything after that, the script would already have been finalized unless a major trade or like news happens in sports. So we would just ask, that is your deadline, and then when the football season starts, we're gonna change our schedule. So we'll give you the dates.
And we're gonna have big news about that in the coming weeks because the Ozone will be making some significant changes once the football season comes into full swing.
Right. So that's your deadline. 12 p.m. Saturdays. Submit your highlight of the week. You have all week to get that done, and then from there, we'll let you know if you've been chosen. We'll even give you a shout out. So thank you so much, guys.
Yes, we would definitely shout you out. If your highlight that you sent over to us does end up being a recipient of the highlight of the week, we will shout you out. We will shout out your Instagram, your social media, whatever. We will shout you guys out. So that is something we definitely will be doing because we got to give you guys credit. You guys are the ones doing the work. So, guys, we thank you so much. This was a good episode, brother. This is a good episode. It was a very upsetting episode. I feel like you're going to make a short on the Yankee thing. I feel like I'm going to get flamed about my Yankee take. Because remember, just because you're loud doesn't make you right.
Brother, one thing real quick before we wrap up. You were on a stream this week, so please talk about that real quick and plug that.
Yeah, I was on the Rock and Nose podcast with my boy Jeremy talking a little wrestling over the week. Thank you guys. A lot of Ozone supporters showed out to the Rock and Nose page and supported my boy Jeremy and supported us. I'll probably be doing some guest spots. We haven't really covered it yet, but we're going to be discussing some wrestling. But Jeremy from the Rock and Nose page is also, he's going to be showing some love to the Ozone because he will be our first special guest, as Dave and I will be having a special preview episode of SummerSlam Night in 1 coming before probably in a couple weeks. I believe it is in a couple weeks. So shout outs to Jeremy and the Rock and Nose YouTube page. Go out and follow them. Dave is going to put the link on the bio to subscribe to his page. And thank you, Jeremy, for having the Ozone on, and look forward to working with you more and other pods. If you guys have podcasts that's within, the realm of sneakers, wrestling, comics, all of us, hit us up, man. Dave and I are more than happy to, devote some time and, one small page to another. We got to help each other out. You know what I'm saying? And I think, by doing those good deeds and helping each other out, we can all grow together. We don't have to fight. There's one big pie that we can all share. So, guys, we thank you so much for your support. Remember to go shout out Rock and Roll. Give them a quick follow. Remember to give us a thumbs up. Like this video. Give us some love on the comments. Follow us on all social media platforms. And we see you guys next week as we deliver in that fire. Peace.
This is more than a podcast. It's a sports throne. Let's kick it off right. Welcome to the Ozone.